Hello and welcome to your Advanced Wednesday training call. My name is Jared Krebs. I'm pictured here with my wife, Crystal. We're Emerald Directors in San Antonio, Texas. And before we get into our special guests and their stories for the day, we want to remind you of 10 things to expect when you're building your USANA business. Number one, there will be ups and downs. Number two, success or failure is up to you. If you succeed, it's because of you. If you fail, it's because of you, not because of the person who invited you to USANA. Number three, the goal is for you to become independent and be that leader for your team. Number four, make your plan on the weekends. Do it, review it, and make adjustments. Plan, do, review, and adjust. Number five, it's gonna take time. It's gonna take a year to become competent at the skills. It's going to take 3 years to develop a significant part-time income. It's going to take 5 years to become a significant earner, and it's going to take 7 years to become world-class. It's going to take time. Number six, it takes consistent work and hustle. Number seven, you're going to have to grow outside of your comfort zone and do Facebook Lives, folks. I'm proud of all of you who've been doing Facebook Lives. Number eight, mental toughness is necessary. Number nine, the grass is not greener in other companies. I've seen people leave USANA, never make what they made with their USANA business. And number 10, this is a long-term game. USANA is 25 years strong with over $2.5 billion paid to its associates. It's provided a full-time income to me and my wife for over a decade. Not only us, thousands and thousands of people around the world have benefited from the USANA income. And so we are going to have, before we go, one more slide. Before we get into our training, always remember, amateurs sell products, but professionals sell the vision. With your clients, make sure you invite your clients to webinars like this. Tag them in the live videos. Let them hear stories of people who love the products, but also have created great results with their USANA business. And very few have done it as well as Gold Directors Nick and Fernanda Puga. They are located in Florida, and they are some of the rising stars in USANA. They have a lovely family. I love this picture right here. I've gotten to know Nick and Fernanda through the events, seeing them at conventions, seeing them walk the stage, seeing them get recognized by corporate office. And I have to hand it to my wife, Crystal, because she is the one that set up this story call. I actually don't know their story. Nick and Fernanda, I am super excited to hear from you today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. We want to hear what your life was like before USANA. What were some of the struggles? What attracted you to start your business? And then when you were building your business, how did you overcome things? You know, what was like some points which you had to push through, maybe where you considered quitting? And also, what is your life like today thanks to USANA? We really, really appreciate your story. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. And then if you could start your video. And there we go. And Nick and Fernanda Puga, welcome to the webinar. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for the intro.
Yes. All right. So take it away. We want to hear the good, bad, and the ugly. Don't hold back. Give us everything. We want to know everything.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll start then since I started the business.
All right.
So before USANA, I was a fashion designer. And I had my own line. We were living in Los Angeles, actually, because Nick is an actor, and we were there for 15 years. We just recently moved to Florida. But I had my fashion line, and there were a lot of struggles with that. I know Nick tells a little bit about my story of how, I started around the time where the recession hit, like in 2008. So there were some, production problems. There were some problems with buyers closing shop. There were a lot of issues with my fashion design business. So I was doing well with press. I had, some celebrities wearing my dresses. I did a couple of a red carpet event. I did runway show. And so that side looked really great. But the financial side was not so stable and not so great. And then I got pregnant with my daughter. And, so then that's kind of where I hit a crossroads where, I was working a ton. I was pretty much the only person working in my company because it was, I was doing every job. And then I decided, well, now I'm pregnant. I want to take care of this child more than anything. And so
by every job, you mean what?
by every job, I mean, I was designing, I was doing accounting, I was doing marketing, I was, cleaning up, doing editing photos, like, you name it. I was selling. So the only thing I wasn't doing was pattern making and sewing, but everything else, that was me. And so it was a lot of hours and it was a lot of stress. And so I wanted to make sure that I had a healthy pregnancy and kind of started to take a step back. And what happened was I was home with my daughter for her first year and a half. So it was just stay-at-home mom, was doing a little bit of my business, trying to sell off leftover inventory and things like that. But then after a year and a half, I decided that I needed some more adult interaction, because it can be tough being a stay-at-home mom too. You go, from building a business to, just staying home and playing, and, so it was kind of a hard transition. So after a year and a half, I said, well, I have to do something else. And I wasn't sure exactly what I was going to do. And so I was in the looking zone. And definitely the thought of working from home is what I wanted to do, because I, wanted to stay home with my daughter. And so that's sort of where I fell into USANA. And USANA came to me through Krista Rialba. I don't know if everyone here knows her.
Krista Rialba, rock star.
Rock star, yes. So she was actually in the fashion industry as well. That's where we met. So she used to have a fashion blog. And so she talked about my line, and I told people about her blog, and that's how we created our business relationship. And we just had a business relationship for years, and just became
for years.
Yeah, okay. It was like about 6 years that we worked together in total. And then we were friends on Facebook. We ended up.
So Krista was in this the whole time for 6 years. And did she ever prospect you prior to that moment, or?
I don't know when she started USANA, if it was at the very beginning when we started working together, but I know that at some point there was overlap where she was doing USANA, and no, she didn't say anything to me. I'm sure she was talking to other people about it. And so then what actually happened was I started with another company first. I started with a jewelry company first, because since I was from the fashion industry, I thought, well, this is something I like this jewelry, whatever. So I started doing that. And I actually went to prospect Krista. So that's where twist.
Okay, wait a sec. So when somebody says, they're trying to prospect you or whatever, like in another company, you should say, I'll show you yours if you will see mine. Is that what happened?
That's what Krista said to me, basically. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you guys are basically comparing companies here.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
So then, since, we had both left fashion industry, had kids around the same time, we were, talking about that. So I reached out to her. She seemed kind of interested in what she wanted to tell me what she was doing with her team. And I was like, yeah, sure. Tell me what's going on with your team. And the more she started telling me about USANA, although health wasn't anything that I was really super conscious of or into at the time, but the more she started telling me about residual income, because what I was selling was something that somebody would buy once and they might never have to buy anything from me again. So that aspect was really interesting to me as being a business person. The residual income, how the compensation plan was, where the teams would get, you would really work as a team, and you're not taking any commission away from your team member if you're, helping them get the sale. So that kind of a thing was really interesting to me. And just Krista, you know how Krista is. She's amazing. Yeah. She's great energy. Like I told Nick, I'm like, I really just want to work with Krista. And she
right.
told me a bit about Jen Groover as well, because Jen Groover had just started with the company. And so Jen sounded really amazing to me as well. And that's really what drew me to the company, was that. And also, everything she said, she had an answer to every question I had. She told me about Dr. Oz, the Olympic athletes, like all these things that just were amazing. So although she really talked up the products, I was just like, okay, sure, I'll take her word for it. I'll try them and see what happens. And I really wanted to start the business for the business. And so, Nick, are you guys still seeing us or no? You froze a little, Jared. I don't know if you guys are still seeing us or hearing us. Yes? No?
Yes, we still see and hear you.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Jared may be having problems with his Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You guys are doing awesome.
Okay. So when I brought the idea to you, Nick, what did you think?
I thought absolutely not, because here we are. This is like a second adventure, a little too close to the first adventure. And I thought it was this kind of jumping chip. And, you know, again, we weren't really super health conscious at that time. I wasn't really into, you know, supplements. But what really gave me the little door that kind of opened a little bit was that I was actually in the process of training for a feature film, wanting to get in the best shape of my life, and willing to get any kind of edge that I could get without doing anything that was going to harm my body. So at this point, I was just starting to get into health, right? And so the products, she went ahead and did it anyway. So even though I wasn't really in agreement, we're kind of open like that. If she really wants to do it, then she's going to do it. And she said she would do it. So I said, okay. So the products show up, and I half reluctantly and half curious tried the products because I was already, you know, the products are already here, so I might as well take them, right? And so it was those products that really helped me get to my goal, which was at the time, I believe it was like, you know, 7.5% body fat. And I was about around 9 or 10. And I had 90 days before filming, and I had already been training and, you know, hired and fired 3 different personal trainers. So I've definitely invested a lot as far as the personal trainers, but not as much into the nutrition. And here we are. And that became the X factor as far as the recovery. There were many times with my trainer where I had to, you know, I would get injured and then I couldn't work out. And so all these deadlines started creeping up. Since I wasn't really a gym rat to begin with, it was a lot to take. So I got the results that I wanted after 90 days, and it was clear that the energy, the focus, the recovery was all there. And it was during the filming of the movie that it was an independent movie, and it's not something I really get paid for a lot for, but it is something that I'm really passionate about. And so I do other jobs in the acting field that don't necessarily really fulfill me in that way. And when I was on set and I was working 14-hour days, and you know, a lot of the crew got sick and I didn't get sick, a lot of these things started just, you know, clicking away. I was like, maybe I could help Fernanda, and maybe I could potentially do this too, to maybe open more doors for me to do projects like this that I won't necessarily get paid for, but hey, I could be really passionate about. So that's kind of the nutshell. Then here we are.
Yeah. So then he started the business with me after that.
Yeah.
And then one of our platinum people was Andre Gordon, who had been our friend since high school. So I'm sure everyone knows Andre.
So you signed up an Emerald director. Of course, he didn't become Emerald overnight. So
Right.
like talk to us about this process. I'm really inspired by how Nick, you know, first of all, I mean, dude, I work out 6 days a week, bro. So I know what you're talking about. Like, you're working out, you need recovery, you need all these things. And like, it's big time for your recovery. Like, the products help so much. And the idea that you're like, maybe I could help, you know, Fernanda. And now, I mean, y'all combine forces, and it seems like when 2 come together, it's you know, it's much more than 2. It's like 4 in energy. And so so talk to us about starting your team, raising people in the company, and like just a little bit about that process.
Well, Andre wasn't so easy to actually.
It took some weeks.
It took a couple weeks, and I just kept coming at him. I just knew he would be great, and we were in a similar boat. We were both acting. We have families now, and as an actor, you're looking for a job every day. Something that we didn't really kind of notice, or at least I didn't notice until, you know, after you have a family, you realize, hey, this is kind of crazy. I'm looking for a job every day and nothing's guaranteed
No
ever.
stability.
But I'm consistently working all the time, but hey, this could end at any second, you know? And, you know, when you're in your 20s and you're just doing it in LA, it's not something you really think about. You just do it, and, you know, you work. But so I started to share that. There was something specific that happened with Andre where he was, you know, almost going to get this really big job. And he told me, he told me, if I get this job, then I'm in. I'm going to do this. And then I said, well, what if you don't get the job? And he said, no. And I'm like, I think if you don't get it, all the more reason to actually start with me, and let's start this team. And long story short, he didn't get the job. And that's when I told him, like, you know, I think this is the reason. And although he was really bummed at the time, he agreed with what I was kind of putting out there, that we don't want, how long do we want to keep doing this and keep subjecting ourselves to, you know, other people, and like, let's take a little bit control here. And so we did. And we started, that's the birth of Team Mega Powers with our Queen Elizabeth. For those wrestling fans out there. And that's it. From there, you know, we had a lot of artists. We had a lot of other actors and writers and different people in the entertainment industry that, you know, kind of related to us. And that's kind of where we started our team from there. There's been some, you know, ups and downs. Definitely. Now we moved here to Florida, and because of that, we weren't as close to a couple of our new teams that were really steadily growing. And sometimes the distance can hurt like a business. But we're here, we're standing, we're still doing good, and
yeah, we're rebuilding here. We're trying to find, you know, our niche here. I've been, you know, as Jared mentioned, I was a Tel Aviv ambassador. And so I am a Tel Aviv ambassador. And so I've been having Tel Aviv happy hours. We did a video about that, if you want to check that out, on the USANA ambassador page, I think. And we have been doing that pretty consistently, like every other Friday, and just, you know, having parents, you know, the people that we've met here in Naples so far. So mostly parents from our kids' schools. And
I want to also mention, I want to go back a little bit, because Jared said not to hold back. So I'm not going to hold back here. I am going to tell you that my family still to this day is highly against what we do and what we stand for. Still to this day, it's been 5 years, not really full on. Like, I think my mom is like opened up slightly, and now she's gonna try Tel Aviv. Like that just happened a couple of days ago.
So we'll see.
So we're making progress, but I think it's so discouraging, and it really hurts people's spirit. I know I was affected, but I knew as an actor, everybody was against me trying to be an actor as well, and they thought it was just like this crazy pipe dream, and they were very discouraging for me going to LA, and I just did it anyway, and I gave myself a 5-year plan, and in 4.5 years I was able to let go of all my part-time jobs, and I was able to do acting full-time. So I'm not a stranger to overcoming obstacles, and are a stranger of people, of naysayers, and people, you know, as an actor, we get rejected every day. So I'm not a stranger of all that rejection. And I knew then we went to we skipped convention the first time.
I didn't skip convention. I went to convention.
Andre and
I made them regret it.
Andre and I thought that we didn't need a pep rally. We didn't need this. Like, we got this. We're going to do our own thing. And it became apparent that we, you know, made a mistake when we went to convention the next year, and that really opened our eyes even bigger. And Jared talked about vision. I mean, that's where you really, everything gets magnetized on a real big magnified on a global level. And that's it. So it just,
haven't missed a convention since.
And I've never missed one. Highly important to do that. if you're serious and
Yes.
you want to do this, and know that there's ups and downs, and there's constantly going to be, it doesn't matter how long you've been in. I think Mary Jared can relate. There's still going to be negative people. And I'm sure we have ways of like now we have better communication skills to be able to, and those are things that were just developed by going through all these struggles and going through all these negative people.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's always, it's a skill that gets developed and the muscle gets bigger. But it can still be, sometimes it's a bummer when people don't, when people are not open enough and not ready to receive things. And that's okay, but know that it's for the most part, in the case for my mom and my family, it's not now. Yeah. It's 5.5 years from now. That's when it happened. So,
well, I'm glad you share that, because, a lot of people might think, oh, Nick and Fernanda, they just had it easy, and, their family signed up and everything like came together for them, and they're gold directors now. But no, y'all really went through the struggles, and you persevered. So talk about like some of these moments where it was like really, really hard, but you overcame it, and your focus and vision, and like how you overcame those struggles.
You're giving me some tough questions. So, well, I think one of them is just, we're kind of feeling it now, like what he said, from moving from Los Angeles. Like just before we had moved, we had built a team. There was someone on our team who became gold director in 5 weeks. Okay, and he yeah, he had, gosh, how many people did he sign up? I mean,
in hindsight,
something, I don't know.
Yeah, he had a lot. He had a big network, but we were there, and we traveled to go and present and do a lot for him. But that person right now is not active right now. So that hurts.
Wow, yeah, you have like a rock star. You have this big flash in the pan. You think that that leg is finished forever, and you probably take your income a lot. When it made it go up, and then all of a sudden he's like a firework, right? And he goes, and that's happened to me too, by the way, in the company. So thank you for sharing that, and like the pain, right? Like when they leave or whatever. So how did you overcome that?
Well, I think we're just trying to find new strategies and new ways to build. And I think there's so much good stuff going on from USANA, like corporate. There's so many great changes with the compensation plan, and being able to have orders be part of your personal qualifications every month. Like that's a big thing. The Celavive bonus has been big. So it's just been kind of figuring out some new strategies and new ways to rebuild in a new place too, because we're just meeting new people and building relationships, and yeah, that's just kind of just never, there's no way that we're ever going to quit. So it's like, we're just going to figure it out. Right.
And I don't believe that this person is necessarily gone for forever either. And his whole team. I think it's important that, yeah, as a leader, if you're a leader within this business, leaders always show up, no matter how it looks, no matter how it feels, no matter, you don't always, as a leader of like a company, it doesn't matter what business you're in, you need to show up every day, or else, it's not going to be as fruitful as you want it to be. You're not going to be able to, in essence, help more people if you're not, doing. So I believe strongly in, no matter if it's something just a little bit, if it's 1 hour, 2 hours, every day, there's got to be something that you're doing that's moving you forward. And that discipline is what is probably the most beneficial to anybody's business, I believe.
100%.
I'm no emerald yet, so I don't know, Jared.
You're on your way. You're on your way.
You see that green in the back? You got that rock back there.
What?
Your green rock back there.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, we need one of those.
So we're going to open it up for questions, and we only have a couple more minutes. But while people, by the way, if you have a question for Nick and Fernanda, please put it in the chat, and I'll read it out. But while people are making their questions up, I want to know, what is your life like today thanks to your USANA business?
Well, I mean, honestly, we wouldn't be in Florida today if it hadn't been for USANA business, because that gave us an option. That gave us a way to say, wow, we have something that we can build from anywhere in the world. We don't necessarily have to be in Los Angeles anymore if we don't want to be away from our family, you know? So that is huge, really. Like, it's been a big blessing as far as our lifestyle goes. Living in Florida in a nice house with a pool right next to my parents. We have free babysitting now. So that's been great.
Yeah, the number one reason was for our kids is to give them that opportunity that we didn't have, because
Right.
when we both grew up in Miami, but our families were in South America. So all of our families were in South America. So we didn't really get this quality time with grandparents, and we realized we were doing the same thing to our kids by living in LA, because they were only seeing them once or twice a year. So be able to have them every single day is something so important. And without USANA, as a vehicle, I don't know what. Maybe we would have figured something else out, but I haven't come up with a better plan.
Yeah, we'd probably be in LA. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so the life now is it's great. It's like she said, the lifestyle is really nice.
Oh yeah, I know all about the lifestyle, and it is awesome. It is so awesome. I'm so happy that y'all are living the USANA lifestyle, the freedom, the time freedom, the ability to be with the people you care about the most, the residual income, the health. I mean, it's just so much. And we have a question.
Before I think we forgot to mention how impactful the introduction of personal development and events that we go to, the people that we are exposed to, that really have helped shape our thinking, and probably even the move and everything, how we've evolved in the last couple of years. Without USANA and the people of USANA and the people that are involved with USANA and people like you, Jared, and everybody else, all the other leaders, is just to have that mentorship from everybody who just wants you to succeed. I haven't seen it anywhere else.
Yeah, and it's crazy, because I was like the shyest kid. When I was a kid, I was the shyest kid. And now, I've spoken at a bunch of events, and, Nick has spoken on stage at USANA convention, and my dad is still like in awe of, like, I can't believe that you're somebody that's speaking in front of people. Like, I never thought, like, he would never see that for me. So it's been really interesting, like the shifts that we've been able to make to get out of our comfort zone and to learn new skills. And it's been great.
Not easy. She still gets nervous.
I still get nervous, but I do it. I get nervous, but I do it anyway.
That's awesome. Oh man.
You had a question?
Right. Yeah, the personal growth. I mean, that's something that, you start your business to be healthier or to make money, but then that personal growth element is such I want to say a pleasant surprise, but it's critical to your success, but man, it enriches your life. It's enriched my life tremendously too. So thank you for sharing that. That's a huge benefit of the vision of USANA. So we have a question here from Randy Krebs in Salt Lake City. He says, is your focus building your business, Tel Aviv, products or business? So I guess kind of business focus. Where do you focus? And then also, what book do you recommend for personal development?
Oh, there's so many books. So what our focus is on building our business right now? Is it business versus product? Like more associates versus product?
Yeah, like, are you focused on building Tel Aviv more, or is it like, what's your focus, I guess?
Okay. Well, currently for me, I'm currently like very focused on Tel Aviv, just because I am an ambassador for it, and people have been really loving it. I've been really loving it. So, and also I think with Tel Aviv, it's brought so many different customers that we didn't have the access to before. Like Nick's mom, for instance, somebody that, people that have been in, they've seen us with the vitamins and stuff for years, but haven't really cared about that. And now they're like, oh, let me try my skincare. I have a best friend as well. Never bought anything from me before, but she bought a Tel Aviv regimen. So, so that's been really cool, is being able to reach some new customers. So right now that is kind of my focus, but, with that, as with every event that we have, I'm always constantly speaking to people. I'm always building relationships. So whatever the need is where I'm going to go, right? So if somebody needs the business, obviously I'm going to talk to them about that or other products. Every time I do a Celavive meeting as well, I also talk about the other products. So we've had meetings where people haven't even bought, you know, some of the people haven't bought Celavive, but they've bought vitamins. So, you know,
yeah,
I always make it holistic for sure.
For me, you know, I helped a lot of people get in shape because of my transformation and how I was able to get in shape. So I do like the reset. I'm looking forward to the bars that are going to come soon. Hopefully in the near future. And so, you know, the reset is something, and also Pracosa and these things that really help me. That's kind of where, and then I also tease some things up for ladies that I know. I kind of share like, oh, my wife does X, Y, Z, and I kind of just put it on her where I'm not the person to talk to, but I know.
Make her the third-party expert.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Make her the third-party expert. As far as personal development, the number one, it's not a book. There's a lot of Jim Rohn out there, but the number one has got to be Jim Rohn's Challenge to Succeed.
Yeah.
It's about, what is it, like a 4-hour audio?
Mm-hmm. Just have it on loop.
I've listened so far. I mean, I was encouraged. I was actually told by Michael Callejas to listen to that 20 times. And I did, and I've probably done it like by now, like 40 or 50 times. I listened to that a lot.
Challenge to Succeed audio program. Okay, by Jim Rohn.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
And that it's not it's an obscure one to find too. I think Darren Hardy, because he owns the whole rights to him. Like,
oh yeah,
I think I got it from him on his site, and yeah, that's the main one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Think and Grow Rich, I guess. Like, but that's an all. I mean, everybody knows that one. I feel like everybody knows that one. Yeah. I also really like, for anybody who's, you know, on the fence or even thinking about a business like USANA, I think Royalty Income by Dr. Steve is so articulate and easy to read. And a good one.
Awesome. Thank you. And Fernanda, top book recommendation? Or
the one that's coming to mind, which is it's more of a spiritual book, but it's The Untethered Soul. I don't know if you've read that, but it's just it's a great kind of intro to spirituality. So that's the one that's just been coming to mind, and then also Challenge to Succeed, and Royalty Income. Those are the top. Those are probably the top for me too.
Lately, I've been having a lot of fun listening to Zig Ziglar.
He's hilarious.
He's
the
really
way
funny.
He speaks. Yeah.
And Artemis Limpert.
Artemis Limpert.
Educating Your Expectations.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Educating Your Expectations. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of audios that, I mean, in the car a lot. We travel to Miami. We go to Orlando. So every time we go, it's like exciting because I just listen to something and I'm like, oh, I'm already there. And I'm not even done with my audio.
like, wait a minute, I need to drive more.
That's good.
Yeah.
Awesome. What I hear you saying is that you have a program of personal development. You're always finding the new things to listen to, always re-listening to things. It sounds like audio is your main way you like to do it, but you're always doing it. And that's been a big part to your success. Thank you for sharing that. It's a big hint for everyone watching, is that you can't just do USANA. You have to be constantly sharpening the axe or sharpening the saw with personal development. Last question comes from Cody Roy in San Antonio. He says, do y'all primarily grow your business using events or daily prospect presentations?
I mean, there's different things. So, I mean, right now I am doing those in-home events. That's something that I'd never really done before. When we were in LA and we had, you know, a big local team, we used to do team events once a week. And then, but also, I'm also, you know, I actually just got a random customer in Mexico through Instagram. Like she just DM'd me. So I mean, like, you know, doing things like social media, it can come from anywhere really. But I also have an email list. So I have a MailChimp account, and I've been, you know, sending emails, and that's been bringing me customers as well. Those are my main areas right now.
Yeah, I think it's important to, I know a lot of the kind of consensus these days is kind of shying away from home events, but the way it's not as, before we used to have like a full on like hour presentation, 30 minutes health, 30 minutes business. And I think maybe that's maybe something a little too much for maybe people to, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people still like that. And it wouldn't doubt me that people would have success with it. For us, with Celavive, we've taken a more laid back approach to just give some layman terms to all the kind of science and the science behind it, which is how she goes from the supplements to the skincare and how that whole transition. So it's kind of the backstory of starting from whence to the supplements to the skincare line. And, you know, it's a very casual like night with, you know, happy hour and, you know, and it's just a couple hours, and it seems to be going well. But I would say whatever it is that you really are, you know, feel like you have something that you can do, but it's maybe it's a little uncomfortable for you, but you think like, hey, there could be a lot of success. It's like, go do it. The best businesses are always about doing and not so much planning. When we did the Celavive thing, there was not a lot of planning. It was just like, we're going to do it. We're just going to do it. We're going to figure it out. We'll invite people over and we'll figure out what to say and what not. And sure enough, the first one is vastly different from the fourth one. And that was just because we like learned. But still that first one, there were like two or three regimens sold. Like, so it's not, it's at the end of the day, like how Fernanda mentioned, she joined USANA at the end of the day was really for Krista. So it's really the person that's in front of you. Like, so if you are coming, you know, being authentic as you can be and not trying to be some science expert or trying to be some expert on nutrition, because I'm an actor and, you know, it's very well known that we're not like scientific. We've learned some stuff and we could definitely teach some stuff, but the best teacher is experience. So sharing your story, sharing your experience is really all you have to really do. And the catalogs and the, you know, askthescientist.com and all that videos and stuff can do all that extra stuff. But really it's about getting out there and being able to just share.
Yep.
Sounds like, what I hear you saying is be happy and take action. Because y'all are happy, and that's magnetic. So your prospects want to be with you. They want to sign up with you. They want to work with you or be your client because you're happy and magnetic. And then just take action. And y'all are such a great example of that. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your story with us. We're very grateful. We don't take that for granted. And I look forward to seeing you at International Convention in August with your team and USANA family. I'm going to give y'all a phone call after this just to say thank you with my parents. And let's go ahead and end the call by everybody unmuting the lines and say thank you, Nick and Fernanda.
Awesome. Thank you, Nick and Fernanda. Have a good day.
Thank you, Nick and Fernanda.
Thank you. God bless.
Fernanda.
Stop the video.